Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Ivy League Analytical English. I'm Karen.
And I'm Wesley. 今天我们要做翻译这个练习。
Here we are with number 1.
OK, 好，第一题。根据最近一项研究，摄取大量加工及高脂食物的人，比其他的人较可能罹患忧郁症。好，根据最新一项研究，这有很多种说法哈。那我选择的方法是我直接讲的 A recent study shows。好，那这最近有一个研究 study， 你用 research 也可以的哈。那 shows， 好，它显示什么东西呢 ？That， 然后呢，接下来我就可以开始交代。好，他说这个摄取大量加工及高脂食物的人啊，所以这什么的人，那英文里面呢没有办法找到一个形容词放在 people 前面来形容这样的一种人，所以呢。通常我们怎么办呢？我们就把 people 拿到前面来，后面再用一个关系代名词子句来表达摄取大量加工及高脂食物的啊。所以我们这部分我就可以写作 people who 摄取显然是个动词啊。那摄取食物，英文我们可以用 consume 这个动词哈 ，consume 哈。所以呢 ，people who consume 啊大量 large amounts of 啊，就是很多的量 large amounts of。那什么东西呢？加工及高脂食物啊。那加工食物，英文里面我们可以用 processed 啊这个字来表达，因为 process 这个字它当动词，名词是过程的意思，当动词的话是去处理的意思，所以就是处理过的，也就是加工过的食物，所以我们用的是分词 processed。好，然后呢，高脂食物就是 high fat。食物就是 food， 那食物这个字通常不属，不可以，就通常我们是 food 不加 s， 但是如果你这里指不同种的食物的时候，你可以加 s。所以这里呢，事实上我们谈的是加工的食物跟高脂的食物是两种不同的食物，所以我们可以加 s。然后呢，这里我们看到中文它是讲加工及高脂食物啊，那英文里面其实我们不一定要用 and 来讲说这个 processed and high fat foods 啊，其实用 or 也可以啊，表示说这个加工或者是 high fat 都可以算是对我们人体会有影响哈，所以这个地方我用的是 or。好，所以到目前为止呢，我们这个子句里面是 people who consume large amounts of processed or high fat foods 啊，然后呢，比其他人较可能罹患忧郁症。那比较可能怎么样？英文我们可以讲 are more likely to 啊，比较可能干嘛呢？罹患忧郁症。这个罹患忧郁症啊，我们可以讲 suffer depression， 我们也可以讲 suffer from depression， 都一样啊。那我个人的感觉是 suffer depression， 感觉起来好像这个 depression 比较是个病啊。那 suffer from depression 好像感觉起来这是忧郁啊，还是个状况的感觉哈。但这两个都可以。那我后面我没有把这个其他人讲出来，因为我觉得是 implied。There are more likely， 显然就是跟其他不吃的人来比啊。所以我这整句话的翻译，我现在再念一次。A recent study shows that people who consume large amounts of processed or high-fat foods are more likely to suffer depression.
Okay, just one more time.
Okay, a recent study shows that people who consume large amounts of processed or high-fat foods are more likely to suffer depression.
Okay, my translation is, according to a recent study, a person who consumes a lot of processed and high-fat foods is likelier to suffer from depression than someone who does not. Mine is considerably wordier than Wesley's. It does have one advantage in that it is fairly clear. And before I repeat it, I'm going to mention that 一项研究 in Chinese, you should translate as a research study. We don't use research as a noun all by itself. According to a research 通常是不可数的。So we can use it as an adjective, even though it's a noun. According to a research study, and another thing we don't usually say is a recent research study. We can say it, 可是有点重复的感觉啊，有一点好像打舌头这种感觉，或者那个舌头打结这种感觉。So a recent research study is okay, but just be careful if you're repeating too many sounds that are really similar.Okay, so I left out the part about research. It's not really necessary. According to a recent study, a person who consumes a lot of processed and high-fat foods is likelier to suffer from depression than someone who does not.
OK， 那 Karen 老师前面是用 according to 根据一项最近的研究报告，就是 recent study。然后后面呢 ，a person who Karen 老师用的是单数哈 ，a person who 如何如何，那我用的是复数 ，people who 如何如何都可以哈。那 Karen 老师讲 a person who consumes a lot of 就是很多processed and high-fat foods 那这样的人 is likelier 这个很好玩我是用 is more likely to 那 Karen 老师是用 is likelier to
都可以
两个都可以哈。然后呢 Karen 老师用的是 suffer from depression 那我们刚刚已经讲过 suffer from depression 或者 suffer depression 都可以事实上我觉得 suffer from depression 是比较常见的但是 suffer depression 也可以然后呢 Karen 老师他这个后面呢讲的比较清楚那因为讲的比较清楚所以字就比较多一点但他讲的比较清楚他告诉你说他们是跟谁比起来比较容易呢 Than someone who does not 就是跟一个没有吃大量的高脂或加工食物的人来讲比起来是比较好的
Now Wesley made a good point earlier when he said you can say or instead of and who consumes a lot of processed or high-fat foods and that's something we probably usually do in English I used and here because in my observation people who eat a lot of processed food tend to eat a lot of high-fat food. The two often go together. So if you're eating one, you're probably eating the other. And that's why I chose and.
好，这地方呢，前面我是用 processed or high-fat foods。那这个 Karen 老师用的是 and processed and high-fat foods。那这里呢 ，Karen 老师说，因为事实上吃这种加工的食物的人常常就是会吃到很多高脂的食物，所以他用 and 是表达这样的一个概念，把这两个视为the two usually go together 的意思。
That's right. Let's look at the translation in our magazine now. According to a recent study, people who consume lots of processed and high-fat foods are more likely to suffer from depression than others.
OK， 那用 than others 就是比其他的人，那换句话说就是没有这样子吃的人来讲是比较好的，所以其他的部分都差不多就是跟 Karen 老师跟我们用的句型用的字大概都差不多。
Right. It's time for number 2.
OK， 看第二题。相反的，主要含有蔬菜、水果及鱼类的饮食，这样的饮食呢，可以帮助人们变得比较健康。也可以降低忧郁症的风险那相反的这个地方呢其实不一定是说 on the contrary 因为我觉得其实没有那么的明确的说跟它完全相反所以这里相反的我用的片语是 in contrast 就是对比之下的意思对比之下呢那同样我们有看到主要含有蔬菜水果及鱼类的饮食同样的我们要找到一个英文字来表示主要含有蔬菜水果及鱼类的来表示这样的一个形容词的意思来放在饮食前面来修饰引词饮食这两个字呢这样在英文里面是很难找到的饮食是 diet 所以呢我们没有办法这样做那怎么办呢我们就先把那个饮食把那个名词拿到最前面来 a diet 后面再加上一个关系代名词子句来表达主要含有蔬菜水果及鱼类的所以这个句子就变成 a diet that 那主要含有通常我们讲 a diet consists of 什么什么什么就表示这 diet 通常主要是什么所以这里我们可以讲说 a diet that consists mainly of 主要是由什么组成的呢 vegetables 复数因为各种各样的不同的蔬菜然后呢 fruits 这也是一样 fruit 常常是不可数的但是如果你指的是不同的食物的不同的水果的话也可以数所以 fruits 也加 s 然后呢 and fish鱼类这样的这个饮食呢可以怎么样 can 帮助人们变得较健康 make people healthier 就是让人们变得更健康也可以降低忧郁症的风险 and 降低它的风险降低风险我们可以用 reduce 但是你也可以用 minimize 我这里讲的我用的是 minimize 就是把它变得最少所以 minimize the risk of 降低什么的风险呢降低忧郁症的风险 minimize the risk of depression 那我在 minimize 前面加一个 thereby 这个字是比较正式的字 thereby 就是由前面这件事情做完之后呢根据前面做的这件事情可以得到什么样的结果我用 thereby 这 thereby 不加也可以
I really like your verb minimize that's a good one there Can we hear the whole translation again?
Okay 好那我整句 In contrast A diet that consists mainly of vegetables, fruits, and fish can make people healthier and thereby minimize the risk of depression.
Very good. For 相反的 I said conversely. That means 那个把事情颠倒过来的意思 Conversely, a diet consisting of mainly fruits, vegetables, and fish can promote good health and lower the risk of becoming depressed. I think it's a little wordy at the end with becoming depressed, but I left it anyway. Or you could also say a diet consisting mainly of, 也可以 of mainly 两个都通. Conversely, a diet consisting of mainly fruits, vegetables, and fish can promote good health and lower the risk of becoming depressed, or lower the risk of depression 也可以。
好，那这个前面刚刚 Ken 老师已经讲过，它这个相反的，它用 conversely 哈，这个字大家可以学一学，蛮好用的。
等于是反过来的意思。
反过来的意思，好，然后呢，这个其实 converse 就是 verse 就是转的意思啊，所以 converse 就转过来的意思，反过来的意思啊。那 a diet， 那他 Karen 老师用的是 consisting of， 是用分词片语，那这个当然是从关系代名词子句 a diet that consists of 把它简化过来的，所以意思是一样的。然后呢 consists of mainly 跟 consists mainly of 都可以哈。那后面的 fruits, vegetables and fish 都一样。那这里 Karen 老师用了一个片语 promote good health， 这个用片语很好哈，它可以增进你的健康。然后呢 lower the risk of 如何如何，用动词 lower the risk， 注意这个 lower 的用法。
That's right. Wesley's translation makes it sound a little more optimistic. 可以弄到最少最小的那个程度 to minimize. Lower the risk 只是降低而已. So Wesley's is stronger than mine. Well, let's look at the translation in our magazine now. On the contrary, diets that include mainly vegetables, fruit, and fish can help people become healthier as well as decrease the risk of depression.
好，那我们讲义上面杂志上面用的 on the contrary 哈，那我一开始讲说我比较觉得这样子对比太强了，但是其实也没有错，也可以啊。然后呢，这个 diets that include 啊，我们用的是 include 而不是用 consists of 这个片语都可以哈。然后呢，其他的地方大概都差不多哈。可以 help people become healthier， 让人们变得更健康 ，as well as 同时也可以 decrease 就是 reduce 就是降低的意思，所以这个其他部分都一样的。
And vegetable, you already know from Chinese, but you've translated it slightly differently. You say 植物人, and you might be tempted to say that person is a plant, but we don't say they are a plant. We say that they are a vegetable. They're in a vegetative state. They're a vegetable.
好，所以这个是中文的这个植物人啊，不要把它变成 plant 啊，不是这样讲的，是用 vegetable 这个字。
And as for fish, we sometimes insult somebody by calling them a cold fish. First of all, they are not hot. Everybody wants somebody who's hot if you're looking for a boyfriend or girlfriend. But if they're not hot and they're also not very fun to be with and not very attractive, we might call them a cold fish.
啊，一个冷冷的没什么意思的人。
的鱼，一条鱼。
Yeah.
All right, so be careful when you're using very simple words like this. Make sure that you're aware of some of these other meanings. Otherwise, when you use these words, you might notice people are making some silly jokes and you don't know what's going on.
好，所以这些字如果有弦外之音的话，你要知道一下，以免你用的时候别人的表情很奇怪，或者别人在开你玩笑，你都不知道发生什么事。
Exactly, and that's true of many words, so please be sensitive to this and be prepared for it. You want to stay in control. You don't want to be surprised by some things that are going on that you don't get. That is it for today. Please tune in next time. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.